Well, let us start with generics. Yeah, anyone of you, any problems you are facing from live sessions? Anything? Yeah, if you have anything, please ask. Okay. Okay. Uh, Generics, in generics, like first, what is the concept behind the generics? Why do we need generics? In order to achieve the type, what generalization in the type, we use generics. Okay. So if you use object to generalize the types in program, what are the problems? The problems can be the type information is lost and it is needed to be needs explicit typecasting on every use. So on every use we have to do the explicit typecasting if we use object. And homogeneity, it cannot guarantee the homogeneity. Okay, let us say a class in which we have some instance variable as object. Okay, in that object we can store anything, right? We can store anything, but while retrieving the data, that that thing, if that object, while creating the object, if you have made that instance variable as int, like if you have stored int value in that, while retrieving the data you have to typecast it that to int every time. So this is clear, no? Type information is lost if you use object, and we need to do every time explicit typecasting. And it does not guarantee homogeneity also. If we have an array of object, in that array we can store anything, right? Any object, like employee, manager, or some other thing, student, circle, shape, anything, any object in that array you can store anything. It does not guarantee us homogeneity. If you want array of shapes, then you can create array of shapes. If you want, then you should use only shape array, right? But if you that kind of homogeneity cannot be guaranteed by using object. Is it clear for everyone, or should I show with an example? Everyone, but what are the drawbacks if you use object instead of okay? Yeah, if someone has a doubt, please ask. Okay. So solution for that, instead of using object in order to generalize the type in our program, the solution is generics. We can use generics instead of object. We can use generics to generalize the type in our program. So the generics, in the generics we can have classes and functions as generic classes. We can have generic classes and the functions can be generic. That means they can have the type parameters. So here example is like class my data structure of type parameter t. That means this class is generic class and it holds the value of type t. This is a generic class. In that class you can store the variables of type t, instance variables, or you can use the values of type t. Here in this method is generic method get match, that takes and that accepts and returns values of same type t as enclosing class. Okay, it takes the same type t as the enclosing class. So if while creating your object of my data structure class, if you specify t as integer, then everywhere here t will become integer. So it accepts an integer object and it returns integer object. This method, if this method get match is in the class my data structure, this method accepts an object of type t and returns object of type t. This type t is same as this t whatever you have mentioned in for the class. So this, whenever you say the class is generic, you will include the type parameter in this angular bracket. In the angular brackets, you will include the type parameter. And yeah, if you use the type t in the methods, then the type t is same as the type t of your class. If you have created an object by mentioning the type parameters as an integer, then throughout your program the t value will be integer only. Like here you can see here this method get match accepts t object and returns t. That means it accepts integer and returns an integer. Okay, can also use constraints by mixing inheritance rules. We can also constrain the type parameter. We can constrain restrict the type, whatever type which we are going to use. in our class or in the method. By specifying public static, here you can see s extends t, comma t. So here s can be subclass of t or t. Like if it is employee, if t is employee, then s can be manager or developer or anyone who extends the employee. So x extends t, here s extends t means we are restricting the type of this, the type parameter, by mixing the inheritance rules. Okay, here you can see s array, you have and t object. Here s can be, s is like subtype of t. Okay, yeah, if some point, if anything is not clear, please ask me. Okay, so this is an example of polymorphic list. Here the polymorphic list. Here you can see the linked list has type parameter t. That means we can store anything in linked list, like any values, integers, doubles, floats, employee, manager, student, any object, any data type in our linked list. Okay, this is an example of that. Be careful not to accidentally hide a type variable. So if your class, here you can see the example, class my class, and here we have mentioned the class is generic class and that has the type variable s. So that means in our class we can use s. In our class we can use s. You can see in the method, my method, we have mentioned s comma t. So that means this S and this S, whatever the S in our class and the S in the method can be different. Okay, the quantifier S comma T of my method mask the type parameter S of my class. So this quantifier will mask the type parameter of the my class S. So, so if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to mask the type parameter, mask this S, then what we can do, we can just remove s from here. Public in the angular brackets you can include only t, and void my method you can say, and sobj. That means s, this s and whatever s we have used for the class, this s and this s will be same, should be same. Okay, that will be same. But if you include that while creating the method before the return type, then this s and the s in the my in the class, that s and the class s in the method can be different. Okay, quantifier, when you say s comma t again in your method, that means that this quantifier masks the type parameter of s of class my class. Okay, clear everyone? Is it clear?
It is not returning anything, right? Since
Its
void is
return
there.
type is void. It's
Yeah.
not returning anything. Yeah, this is the kind of syntax. This is kind of syntax. We have to mention this quantifier. If we are going to use anything in any type variable in our method, we will mention it before the return type. So this is the signature method syntax we have to follow. If you want this s and this s to be same, then s should not be included here in the method signature.
So
Inside the angular bracket you have to use only t. Okay,
it means like we have again defined s as a different object. Like this
yes,
means
they both can be same also, but they can be different also. Okay,
if we want to keep same, then what should we do?
no need to include that s
Okay.
in the quantifier.
Fine, continue.
Okay, covariance of types. If S is subtype of T, if S is subtype of T, and a reference of T can store an object of S. Okay, this is what we have seen. No, if uh, uh, what manager is subtype of employee, manager is subtype of employee. By using employee object, employee reference variable, we can store manager in it. No, employee reference can store manager, right? Employee reference can store equal employee even equal to new manager. I can say that means even is of type static type is of employee, but what is the object? It is manager. So same way, if S is subtype of T and a reference of T can store object of S. If S is subtype of T, a reference of T can store object of S. That means S is subclass, T is superclass. So T is superclass reference variable can store the subclass object. Then T array also refer to S array. That means we can, if I say, T extends T extends manager in my method, and I use as T array as argument in our method. Just let me write this. Here, some method like find highest salary in employee, something like that. If I do, what is this? So if I say here something like find highest salary or something like that. Find highest salary or something like that. Okay, if I write here, this is the method name, highest salary, something like that. Okay, here I have mentioned T array of obj, and if I do find highest salary, this is the method name. Okay, and this method takes some array of obj. What is this array? Array is of type T type array. Okay, here the return is nothing like void, just it prints that the salary, highest salary, and return type is object, and the parameter takes as T array. So what we are going to tell about this T extends employee. If I say T extends employee here, if I say, then to this method I can pass any employee, right? I can call the method find highest salary by passing an employee array. Okay, an employee array, uh, e e1. Okay, e1 is nothing but employee array. Employee array e1 equal to, I can create employee array with employee objects or with manager objects or mix of both of them, right? Anything like subclass also can be stored, right? New manager of, I can say, and I can say new employee of. So in this I can include, in this array I can include all the details of manager, employee, developer, and everyone, and I can pass this array to this method. So this method will compute the highest salary and return that highest salary. Okay, so the same way, if S is subtype of T and a reference of T can store object of S, then T array can also refer to S array. So if we have something like T extend, something like this only, like in the other method S is subtype of T, and so in the above method I think we can do that. S array, here S array, this S array, and this is T object. So here X extends T, that means you can pass T or any subtype of T. The same thing here, it is telling the same thing. If S is subtype of T and a reference of T can store an object of S, then T array also can also refer to S array. Arrays are covariant. This property is known as covariance. So an object, a reference variable of supertype can hold the objects of subtype. This is called the covariance. The arrays are covariant. Example here is like integer array, you have ARR1 equal equal to 10, 20, 30. You have, that is an integer array. And number array ARR2 equal to ARR1, you are telling no here. So that means number is superclass and integer is subclass. So employ, the same way, employ array even equal to, you can tell, you can assign it to manager arrays also, like this. Manager array, you have m, like by manager object, with the manager objects. So you can assign this manager array to employee, because a superclass reference can hold the child class object. Same way here, integer array you have ARR1 and number array as ARR2, that is assigned to ARR1. That is assigned to ARR2 is assigned to ARR1. That means both are pointing to the same reference but the different names, ARR2 and ARR1. This is compatible because number array is super and integer everything are subclasses. So system.out.println, the next statement is nothing, we are just printing the value of ARR2 of the third element, index second, the third element, that means the third element, the value is 30. Okay, now try running this. If you run this ARR2 of 1 equal to 9.8, it is not allowed, because what is ARR1? It is integer array. But AR2 by compiler, statically it is number array. In the number array we must be able to store floats also. But this is not allowed because both ARR1 and ARR2 are referring to the integer array. So some size, the memory for integer array and for the memory allotted for integer array and for other data type, it will be different. For integer array, each element will have 4 bytes, no, 4 bytes, something like that. So you have 10 here, 20 here, uh, 30 here. Let's say the memory location here is 0004. The next memory location here will be 008. The next memory location here will be 0001. So this is array, so memory is in sequence, and the each element, as it is an integer array, the element size is fixed, that is 4 bytes. And what is the name for this array? ARR1. Now I am telling ARR2 equal to ARR1, that means both are pointing to the same memory location, ARR2 only, this memory location only. If I update the value of ARR1, ARR2 of 1 to 9.8, by compiler doesn't will allow this, because it is number array. In the number array we can store anything, like any number. But here it is double value. Doubles cannot be stored in integer array, that will give runtime error. The detailed type checking is only done at runtime. Compiler will check for supertype subtype relation, and if that conforms, it will allow the code. That's why that's why it generates a runtime error. Okay, because the statement actually, mapping of the statements happen at runtime. The statement is executed at runtime. That's why. So issue with this can be avoided in generics by using generics. Okay. Issue with generics. JVM erases all the type information related to the generic type after the compilation is done. That is at runtime. Unlike non-generic type variables or reference, generic variables will not have any type characteristics. This process is called type erasure. So what happens if there is some variable, generic variable like t, something in your class or anywhere in your class, like in the method or anywhere in the class, if there's some generic variable is there, whatever the type information of that variable will be lost after compilation. After compilation, the type information is lost. The type variable will be converted to upper type, or if object, if no type is specified. Okay, if you say t extends something like number, then instead of t you will see number. Okay, If it is like something like only t, no extends, nothing you have mentioned, then that will be converted to object. That will be converted to object. So this is called type erasure, which means all type checking must be done by the compiler. Because of this type erasure that happens after compilation, no type information is preserved, which means all the type checking must be done by the compiler. But as compiler cannot check objects type during the compile time, so Java prohibits the covariance property for generic types. Because of this only, Java prohibits the covariance property for the generic type. So list subtype is not compatible with list supertype. If you have list of string, yes, then list of object obj you have, you cannot assign it to list of, see, list of object is not compatible with list of string. You have to give list of object only to that. Okay, so that's why the covariance is not allowed for um, for generics. Okay, list of subtype is not compatible with list of supertype. If you have list of something employee, then you must give list of employee only. List employee L1 you have. Okay, L1. Now list like some subtype of employee manager you have L2. You cannot say L1 equal to L2. That kind of assignment you cannot do, because if it is list of employee, you should give list of employee. But how the workaround is, how can you make this work? You can say list of T. Okay, T, and in the method you can mention what is the T. Like T extends employee, you can say. That means T can take any employee or subtype of employee. So we can solve this problem by using wildcards. So instead of using, we can solve this problem. Covariance property is not allowed, no, but this can be solved by using the wildcards. Avoid unnecessary type quantification when type variable is not needed elsewhere. Okay, if type variable is not needed anywhere in your program, in your method, what you can do, you can just use question mark instead of the type variable. Beneficial while comparing two different subtypes of common supertype. So if you say question mark extends T, that means it can be anything T or subtype of T. Question mark super of T, that means it can be T or any supertype of T. Okay. Okay. The previously I just find highest salary. In that you can say T array, and in the method, before the method you can say T extends employee. That means you can pass any employee, anything like manager or anything. So, but if you say employee array, if you say only T array, and if you have not mentioned anything about the T, then that means it is object. Okay, you understand now, everyone? This
Yes, ma'am.
is not. This is illegal. This is illegal. List of string is, you cannot assign list to the list obj object. List of object you cannot be assigned to list of string. That is not allowed because of the covariance property only. Okay,
Ma'am,
next part.
can you use super, ma'am? Super, can you
A
give some
super means,
super,
so
sorry,
it can
wildcard?
be T or any super type of T. So that means it can be if T. Okay, instead of here T, you make it as employee. Here question mark super employee. If you say, then it can be employee or any super type of employee. Let us say person is super type of employee. So it can be person or employee or,
Object.
okay, or object is also super type of employee.
Okay.
If next part is
But
yeah,
it
this
but it
is
is allowed in array, right? List it is not allowed, but in array we can do, right?
what in array you can do.
Like this object type to, like this is illegal,
No,
right?
arrays also you cannot do. If you say T array, then you can pass any. See, that T array should be mentioned. No, that T array should be mentioned. Like what? Well, yeah. Okay.
In in
Example.
in previous slide, you have shown, like, 1 minute.
Hmm.
Go up, go up. This covariance of types. So
Yeah, this is normal arrays. These are normal arrays. No, this is number integer. This is normal arrays. Okay, let us do the same with as. So in generics also you will say T array. That means it can be. And you must know one thing: arrays, generics array cannot be initialized. You cannot say new T of something, some new T of. You cannot initialize a generic arrays. Okay, you can just, that is illegal. Generic arrays cannot be initialized. I think that slide is also coming. It's there. Yeah, this is okay. This generic type erasure I will tell this first. Java does not keep any information of the generics at runtime. All the compatibilities are checked during compile time. So you cannot say if s instance of array list of integer, array list of integer, this is not there, because instance of is done at runtime, and this will give the compilation error. So at runtime, all the type variables are promoted to object. So if you have array list of t, it becomes array list of object, or upper bound if it is available. Array list of t extends mammals, it is there, that will becomes array list of mammals at the time of type erasure. Okay, type erasure leads to illegal overloading, which were legal on non-generics. So you cannot have two different methods here. Void my method, the same method signature is this one. My method name is same, return type is same, but you can see the argument, it takes array list. But what is the type parameter here? Integer and mammal. So these appears legal, but they are illegal because of the type erasure. All the type information is lost at the compile time, after compile time. So it won't preserve the type information. So this type of overloading is illegal. Okay, this appears as to be correct, but after type erasure, what happens? Array list will become simply it will become array list. No, that's why. Okay.
It, of object only, right? A list of any object. Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
here if it is something, it is like integer. No, it is not t. If t or something is it, then it will become object. Okay, here it will remain as integer, it will remain as mammal only. But this is illegal because type erasure leads to illegal, which were legal on non-generics, because they are array list only, but only the type parameter is different. So this why, that's why they are both array list only, no, the argument, but only the type parameter is different. That's why it is illegal. To avoid the runtime errors, to avoid this runtime errors, generic type arrays can be declared but cannot be initialized. Because to avoid the runtime errors, what we have seen earlier, like in array, integer array is assigned to number array, and later if you try to modify the number array to some double value, then you got that created runtime error. No, so to avoid that runtime errors, generic type arrays can be declared but cannot be instantiated. So you can say t array, array of type t, but arr equal to new t of 20, that you cannot do. You cannot instantiate them to some value. Okay, you can just, by using the compiler, you can assign the value to that array, but you cannot instantiate that array. That is illegal because of that only runtime issue. Okay, you can have generic arrays, but the thing is you cannot instantiate them. Okay, if you have t array of object, so while in a class, that obj can be anything of type t. Type t, like if you have not restricted t to something, like t can be any object array, number array, integer, float, or double, or employee, or anything. But if you have restricted it to something, t extends employee, then that means t can be any employee or subtype of employee only. By instantiating also, you have to do that kind of initialization by using constructor only. You can do that. Okay, you can just create array, but you cannot instantiate array. Okay, generic array. Any doubt still here now?
no, ma'am. Okay, clear.
Okay. So next part is reflection. Reflective programming or reflection is the ability of a process to examine, introspect and modify its own structure and behavior. So it is nothing but ability of a program process to examine itself, to introspect itself and modify its own structure. Okay. So introspect means a program can observe and therefore reason about its own state. It can reason about its own state. Intercede means a program can modify its execution state or alter its own interpretation or meaning. Okay. So how can we do that in Java? Employee equal to new manager. If e instance of manager, that means we will know, we can just check what is the type of e, what object, what is the object of e, like whether manager or something, what, whether it is instance of manager or not, we can check. What if we don't know the type that we want to check in advance? If we don't know whether we have to compare e with manager, employee or some student or person, if we don't know with what we have to do this kind of instance of, what if we don't know the type that we want to check in advance? Suppose we want to write a function to check if two different objects are both instance of same class. If you wanted to check if the two different objects are of same class, but if you don't know with which class both what is the object of that class, with which type we have to check, if we doesn't know how to do that, for that only we have reflection. So here the class equal, this method checks whether O1 and O2, these two objects belong to same class or not. If they belongs to same class, it returns true. Returns true if O1 and O2 points to the object of same type. Okay, this class. So how to do that? Can we use instance of? We cannot use instance of because we will have to check across all defined classes, which is not a fixed set. Because O1 is of type object, O2 is of type object. We doesn't know actually with which class, what is actual type of object, what is actual type of O2, we doesn't know. So we have to check across all the different classes, which is not a fixed set, and yeah, it is tedious also. We cannot use generic type variables because if over instance of t is not permitted, we cannot simply use this. If over instance of t and o2 instance of the same t, then we can return true. That also we cannot do because this is not permitted. So how to do that? We can extract the class of an object using get class. So we can extract the class of an object by using this get class method. So get class method returns an object of type class. This returns an object of type class that encodes the class information. So it will encode that class information and returns that object. What is the return type of the get class method? It is class, and with which object we are calling the get class method, that class information will be encoded in that object. So let us say here the same method class equal that checks whether two objects are same, these two objects belongs to same class or not. So just we will get all this, the information of object o1 and o2 by using the get class method. So it will encode all the information in the C1 and C2 object, both are of type class. So class C1, C2, and the get class method is returning a class object, and that stores, that encodes all the class information of this O1 and all the class information of this O2 in C1 and C2. Return C1 equal to C2. That means if both are of same class, it will return true. Okay. This is how you can do this. Without, if you doesn't know that the object type of O1 and O2, you can do this by just using the get class method. Okay. You can create new instance of class at runtime also. You can get all the class information of that particular object and create instance of that particular object also. So class C equal to obj dot get class. So that will encode all the information of that class in in the class C, and you can create object of that class by using c dot new instance of, so that class object will be created. So create a new object of same type as obj. Okay. Can also get hold of the class objects using the name of the class. We can we can get hold of this class object by using the, if you know the name of the class, we can get hold on this class object by using this method. So class dot fun name of s is a string of manager, so it will encode all the information of the manager class in the class C. Okay. Object O equal to new C dot new instance. So we can create the new manager instance by using the information we have. Or more compactly, object O equal to class dot fun name of manager dot new instance of. So in this way also you can write this like compact version of the above version. Okay.
The previous slide, like O1 is instance of O2. It will not work, right?
No, it will not. If O1 instance, what you are writing? If O1,
O1 is instance of O2.
that's how you can write O1 instance of some class. You will write no O1 instance of manager, O1 instance of employee.
Okay.
O2 is nothing but object. No.
Object. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. From the class object for class A, we can extract details about constructor, methods, fields of class. So we now all the class information of a particular class is present in this class object. Okay, we can extract the details about constructor, methods and fields of that particular class. Give something obj dot get class, that means the object, this whatever the class of this object, that class information is encoded in this classy object. And you can extract all the details about constructors, methods and fields. We can extract the details because that is encoded in this classy object. So constructors, methods and fields themselves have structure. So within the constructor there are structures, the number of arguments constructor can have, methods, arguments and return type, all the three modifiers, and static like public, private, protected, static, everything. So this our, so in the class there are constructor methods fields. Within the constructor methods fields there is arguments, return types, everything, right? That information also we can extract. Okay. Additional classes, constructor method fields. Okay. There are additional classes, constructor class, method class, field class. Okay, if you use get constructors, get methods, get fields, these methods we can use to obtain the constructors, methods and fields of C in an array. So if you say C dot get constructors of, the return type here for this method is an array of constructors. So all the constructors of this particular class C, that will be returned and stored in the constructor object. Let us see here. Okay. Here you have extracting the
Madam,
information about
these
constructor.
constructors,
Yeah.
fields, and other things, they're all subclasses of class, capital C class.
They are present in a class, right? Constructors, methods, fields are present. Okay, yeah, they are classes. They are classes. General like manager, employee, like arrays, strings.
And
These are classes. Constructor, method. Yeah, field.
they extend capital C class.
They extend the capital C class.
No, what I
I'm not
meant is,
sure.
what is the relationship this constructor class and the class have?
See, uh, I'm not sure of that. They might not have any relation also. That can be also possible. It doesn't mean like they should have some relation, like instance or something, right? So if you are okay, you are in employee class and you can return some array, right? You can return some array, something int array or something. That means your employee and int array does not have any relation. So there is like this class. Inside the class there is method called get constructors. In the get constructor the return type is constructor array. Okay, there cannot be any relation between them also, like between the constructor class and the class constructor and this class object there cannot be any relation. Just the, for this method the return type is constructor array.
No, C
Okay,
dot
for
get
in the
constructors means the class C is having,
get
capital C
constructors
class is have
method.
get constructors. Method
Yeah,
is there which
class C,
returns
in the class C
array
we
of
have, yeah.
constructors.
Yes, yeah. So there is method in the class C that is get constructor. For that get constructors, the return type is constructor array. Similarly, like for an employee, the return type can be int array or string array, something like that only. For the get constructors method, the return type is constructor array. For the get methods in the class, the return type is method array of that particular class. For the fields, for the get fields method, the return type is a field array. So this is how we can extract the constructors, methods and fields of any class. Okay.
And any specific functions we are getting in the constructor class?
Any specific, any functions?
I mean methods. Do you have any methods in the constructor class?
In the constructor we are not, yeah, in the constructor class also they will have get parameters types. You can see get parameter, that means that will give the parameter types of that constructor class. Also definitely will have some methods. So in the
Okay.
method class also we can have get fee, get like wait, the type of that method we like the return type of the method we might need to know. So some methods can be there in the
Okay.
method class, field class also. So they are
Okay.
itself a class, so possibly there are methods also, but we use only like it doesn't require to know all the methods whatever that are there. Whatever we have discussed now, that are more than enough. Like get class, obj.get class, that will give encode all the information of that object and store in a class object, and return type is a class. For that class, from that class whatever we have, we can create new object of that particular object by saying c dot new instance of that new instance of is a method. Okay, new instance of. And you can get the constructors, get methods, get fields, that thing also you can do. And you can, yeah, within the constructors you can get the arguments, the types, get parameter types also you can do. Yeah, I will explain. So this one get methods, get constructor, that will give the fields, methods, constructors of that particular class. Okay, get the list of parameters for each constructor. We can get the list of parameters for each constructor also. Just say class is equal to obj dot gets class. So this class object, this class information will be stored in this class object C. So from the class information we have, we can get the constructors of this class by saying c dot get constructors, and you will get a constructor array of that particular class. Whatever constructors you have for that class, like along with the class, the object class constructors also will be written. Like if you have employee class plus the subtype of the subtype, like whatever, so yeah, object you have on the top and employee you have, so every class inherits the object class by default. So you will get all the public constructors of the employee class, and also it's a super class constructors, so that you will get object class constructors also, that information you will get. Okay, for you need to iterate through each constructor. Like whatever constructor we got that is in the constructor array, you need to iterate through each constructor and get parameter types of that constructor. So this is how you do this. You need to write a for loop for int I equal to 0, I less than constructors dot length, this array constructors whatever we have, that constructor array dot length I plus plus. We are just iterating through the constructors we have and getting the parameters of that constructor. So for that constructor of I dot get parameter types. Get parameter types will give the parameter types of that particular constructor. And you can see get parameter types. That return type is also a class, and that is stored in the some array. That can be stored in some array. So same way that, okay, can we extract information about private methods and fields? Yes, we can do that also. For private methods, and in order to get the information about the private methods, private constructors, private fields, we have to use get declared constructors, get declared methods, get declared fields. That will give the private constructors names, constructors methods, private methods and private fields things. So this may cause security issue, right? But access to private components may be restricted through external security policies. So we can restrict that the what,
Only the
access to private,
variable. Variable name we will only get private, not the value of
yeah,
it.
variable private get declared fields, that will give the fields of your class, that will give the private fields of your class also. But it is to be used sparingly. That things should be used sparingly only if we need it. Okay, that's all about week 5.
So
No, what are
field
fields, ma'am?
Sorry?
Fields. What are fields, ma'am?
Fields are nothing but your instance variables, no? Like,
Okay, okay, okay. It's
yeah,
in
class
constructor.
variables. So name, age, that's our fields that are called also fields, the
Okay.
variables that are present in your class.
so fields will not be class, right? It will be a some like string or field will be a class.
Yeah, string is a class. So get declared fields that will give the fields of that particular class. The return type of this method is a field array. Field is a another class and that is stored in an array. So if you wanted to know what is the field, what is the field,
Type of
you
field.
can
Yeah.
see you have to iterate through this fields array, and you can say system.out.println field of I. That will give the field, the particular field
So
and
the
that.
so field type could be anything like string,
Yeah,
integer,
field type
number.
can
Yeah.
be anything. Field can be anything. No, your instance variable can be anything like
Yeah.
integer,
Yeah.
float,
Object,
whatever.
any object. Yeah.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
why we don't call like in the previous we call na c dot get constructor or c dot get methods. Here we don't do class dot get. Where we define class
So
c.
yeah, in order to extract them also, you have to use the same thing. C dot get declared constructor. C dot first you have to get the class information, and
Get
using that
class
class
or get
information,
declared
you have
class here also.
yeah, you have to use these methods. Get declared methods, get declared field instead of that get constructors that methods. Okay,
For
in order
getting
to get
c,
the private
c will be
components.
same, right? C will be class. C will be
Mhm.
get class only.
Same.
But
Yeah, yeah,
obj dot get declared class will not be there.
yeah, same.
Okay.
Again, if when you are extracting the parameters of the field, again that also will be a class
Yes,
for
when you are
constructors
extracting the
you have
field, that is
given.
also a class. Yeah, so you can see class.
Get parameter types like constructor I dot get parameter types.
Yeah,
For
see,
field
I'm
also
telling
same
you this
parameter type.
reflection part. Yeah, this reflection part is not that important. Okay, just
Here
yeah,
we
but
have
just
in
understand.
in any of the previous question paper, this topic itself not tested.
Yeah, because they are not conceptual. They're not just. It's like you have to remember the method names
But in
and what
the
the method.
mock two, you have one question, madam.
Yeah, but marks okay, but yeah, exam point of view, you won't get questions from this reflection topic. Okay.
Second thing, after finishing this, can we are we going to discuss anything in doubts in mock, madam? Mock two, mock.
Yeah, yeah, sure. We'll discuss that.
Okay, please go ahead, madam.
Mm. So week 5 is finished. Week 7 we can go to week 7. Yeah, if you have any doubts, okay, you please ask because yeah, concept summary might take time. At least half an hour it takes time.
No, madam. We let us finish the summary, madam.
Yes, ma'am. I need the summary.
Okay. It's about exception handling, no, week 7. So our code could encounter many types of errors. Like whatever we write may not be correct all the time. We can encounter many kinds of error. That can be user input error or resort limitation errors or code errors. So user input error means invalid file names or URLs if you give, that will result in error. So result limitations, that means disk full, this can be full. That also.
The week 6 we don't have to do, ma'am. Maps.
Week 6 is already done in the previous session, no?
Last session,
Okay, okay, okay.
6 and 8 over.
600.
Mm.
Okay. Fine.
Okay, code errors. So code errors means invalid array index. So if you wanted to if you try to access an array index of an array which is not there, that will result in invalid array index key not present in hash map. If you are trying to access a key of the hash map but it is not present, if you say m of some string, some name ram, but if the ram key is not present in the map m, it will result in an error. Okay, refer to a variable that is null. If you just created a variable employee and you have not instantiated that, you haven't said new employee of, instead of that you say e dot get salary if you try to access a method of the class. But this See, employee you have not instantiated it. You just call the method on this class. But what is it? E is null. It has no memory. E is null. So if you try to access a method, that will result in null pointer exception. Okay, for that E, because E is referring to null. Nothing is there in E. It is null. It is not, no memory is there for that. So if you say on E, if you try to access a method here on E, if that does not have any memory, so it will create null pointer exception. So this kind of things result in code error. So divide by 0, this is also a code error. Okay, when we could anticipate what is going to happen, we would rather signal the error than program cache. If you know in advance what is going to happen, what we would like to do, instead of programming, like instead of stopping our program, instead of happening program crash, we can signal the error, right? So exception handling gracefully recover from the errors that occur when running the code. So exception handling is used to gracefully recover from the errors that occur when running the code. So all exception descend from the class throwable. So throwable class is superclass, and from the throwable class you have two branches: error and exception. Throwable is super, and error and exception are subclasses. Okay, throwable is a class, it's not an interface. Okay. Errors are relatively rare. These are relatively rare and these are not programmer's fault. We cannot do anything about the error. Errors are rare and they are not the programmer's fault. So error can occur because of internal errors or resource limitations within the Java runtime. So our resource can be full, that can result in the error. We cannot do anything about that. No? So no realistic corrective action possible. Notify the caller and terminate gracefully. What we can do, we can just notify the caller and end the program. On the other side, we have exception. So exception itself has two branches, like runtime exception and checked exception. Runtime exceptions are also called unchecked exception. And checked exception you have unchecked and checked. Unchecked are runtime exception. So runtime exceptions are programmer's errors that should have been caught by code. These are programmer's errors that should have been caught by code. Okay. These are program error index out of bounds or invalid hash key. These are programmer's errors. No, like you should not do that. No, AR, if array size is, like array length is 6, you cannot say error of 7 or AR 6 because they are index out of bounds. The indices the array can have is 0 to 5 only. So these are programming mistakes that should be caught. Okay. Invalid hash key, that is also like programmer fault only. Checked exception, on the other side, the checked exception, these are typically user defined code assumptions violated. So they are like user defined and or can be caused when the code assumptions violated. In a list of orders, quantities should be positive integers. If you assume like list of in the list of orders you want only positive integers, if they are not positive, you can flag it. That comes under the checked exception thing. Okay, how to handle this exception? By using the try catch blocks. So try catch block you have. Enclose the code that may generate exception in try block. If you suspect the part of a code throws some exception, you can enclose that in try block. So try, and whatever the code that can, if you suspect that may generate exception, you can enclose that in the try block. Enclose the code that may generate exception in try block. Exception handler in the catch block. So if you know this code, like if you're trying to divide two integers and the integer can like denominator can be, if the denominator value can be, if you suspect that can be 0, then you can enclose that in the try catch block. Try block, that division thing, in the c equal to in a by b you can do in the try block, and in the catch block you can write divide by 0 exception. So use exception handler in the catch block. You can handle the exception which may generate here in the catch block. That will handle the exception that has raised in the try block. Use try catch to safely call the functions that may generate errors. So you can use this try catch to safely call the functions that may generate errors. If encounter an exception, if try encounters an exception, then rest of the code block in the try will be skipped. Okay. If there is line 1, line 2 and line 3, if line 2 generates some exception, then line 3 won't be executed, it will go to the catch block if the corresponding handler is there. Okay. If try encounters an exception, rest of the code in the block is skipped. If exception matches the type in the catch, the handler code will be executed. If there is corresponding handler in the catch block, the statement inside the catch block will be executed. Okay. Otherwise, uncaught exception is passed back to the code that calls this code. So the uncaught exceptions will be passed back to the code that calls this code. So in the main method, if you call this method, whatever the method that may generate exception, if you are not catching here, that will be passed to the main method. So otherwise, the uncaught exception is passed back to the code that called this code. Can catch more than one type of exception. So you can catch more than one type of exception. Multiple catch blocks you can have. So catch exception type E matches any subtype of exception. So if you say catch exception E, that will catch any exception and its subtype of exception. Like it is similar to object. If you have object, it will store anything. No, if you have an exception, if you use just catch exception here, that can catch any kind of exception. Catch blocks are tried in sequence. So they are tried in sequence. If you have multiple catch blocks, they are tried in sequence. Match the exception type against each one in turn. Order catch blocks by argument type, more specific to less specific. You can order the catch blocks by more specific one to the less specific one. Okay, you understood this thing? Clear? Anything need to be discussed more? Anyone of you?
Ma'am, one doubt is there. Like you say, if exception matches the type in the catch, okay.
Mm.
If like it exception is there, right? Then it will it if like wherever it is redirecting, if it is not present there, exception is not there, then it will go to the main, right? From where the
Main,
catch.
wherever we are calling.
Now,
Okay,
will
you
it
have,
make
let us say sometime it cannot go to main also. You have one, function two. Okay, if the function one, okay, from function one you are calling function two, and if function two generate exception here, if function two it generate exception here, and you are not catching this exception, then it goes to the function one. And if the function one is also not catching this exception, then it will propagate to the main. Okay, if some corresponding handler is there in the function one itself, then no, it won't go to the main, it will stop here. Okay, this kind of exception propagation will happen.
okay, it will also do only one will catch only, right? In any function, it may be main, it may be function one also, it may be function two. Right? Only
It
one
cannot
catch.
catch also. If we are not catching, your
uh,
program will show that exception. So sometimes you get class not found exception because you are not catching that, or you may generate some class cast exception in the main method itself. If you try to cast something which is not terminated, and if you do that, it will generate class cast exception because you are not catching that exception, and that will be shown in your program. You won't get any output at that time, you will get just that exception, right?
okay. So for like if we want to catch, like if let's suppose function two is catching, right? And
Mm.
also it again throws error, and that error will be catched by the main method. Will both
Yeah.
will, right?
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, if it is not catching, you will get that as your output, that exception.
For
If you are catching, it's okay, you
invoking
speak
the
only.
main catch, it have to again where it catches again, it throw a new exception, right? Then it will go to main. Mean I want to say, if we don't throw again, then it will do catching at any point where it first take, right? Maybe function 2 get, then main will be there, right?
So you have function 2 and
Yes.
you have function 1 and you have main. So now what you are telling now?
So if function 1 generates error, and it will be catched in function 2, right?
Okay.
Then if even if it is present in the main, that exception is present in the main also, then it will do only in function 2, right? The first exception where it goes.
If main has exception, if the main method itself is throwing exception, then your program will throw that exception, right?
Yes, yes.
If you're facing an exception in the main, that will happen only if you call something. If you call some method that may throw exception and that function is not catching that, if you are not catching that exception in the method, that will be propagated to the main and you will get that exception as the output. Okay, but if
Okay.
the main itself generates an exception, then it will be directly shown. Okay, if you are not catching, it will be thrown, it will be shown. But you can enclose try catch in the main also, right? By calling clone method, you enclose that, you will enclose that clone method in try catch block, or you will declare the main method itself throws a clone not supported exception. That thing you will do now. But if some exception has raised in the main, that exception will be shown. You can catch that, in the main, but if you are not catching in the main, that will be shown directly.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam, this system exception, I mean, this type of exception, we did not call the like throws did not be used here. Throws exception.
We have not yet seen throws, just try catch thing only we have seen just now, till now. Throws also you can do. You, that means you are not catching. You are not catching that exception. You are just declaring that this method will throw exception.
My
That's all.
intended question was like, even if the throwable or extends throwable, even that type of code is not there, still these
Hmm.
exceptions will be there.
Sorry.
It is necessary that we have to advertise that exceptions has to be caught. No, actually,
So it depends on the programmer. You can use try catch.
okay,
Try catch,
either
that
try
means like,
catch or
or you can say throws. Throws
okay,
any checked
okay,
exception.
okay, 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 madam. Now I got it, madam. Thank you.
Okay. So declare. So at that time, this is like catching and handling the exception. You can catch and you can handle the exception by using try catch. The other way is like throwing exceptions. So declare that you just throwing exception means you can throw an exception. Declare exceptions that thrown in the header. Thrown in the header, you can declare the exception that can be thrown in the header. Can throw multiple types of exception. Can throw any subtype of declared exception. So you can throw multiple types of exception. Here you can see can throw file not found exception or end of file exception. Both are subclasses of IO exception. So you can just throw multiple exception by separating them, comma. You can say method throws call not supported exception, comma, file not found supported exception. You can do that. Or you can say can throw some IO exception. That is can throw subtype of declared exception. Like you can throw any subtype of the declared exception. If you say the method throws some file not found exception, it is like subclass of IO exception. Okay, if you say this method, some method fun1 throws IO exception, if you say IO exception is superclass and that file not found exception and the end of file exception are subclasses. So this method fun1 can throw, you have declared that this method throw IO exception. Here it can throw IO exception, or it may throw file not found exception, or it may throw end of file exception. So if you say this method throws any exception, any subtype of exception, then uh, that means it can end of file exception. No, that means you can throw any subtype of its exception also, file not found exception, end of file exception, or IO exception. Okay, if you say a method throws a exception, then it can throw any subtype of the declared exception type as well. Okay, can throw file not found exception or end of file exception. Both are subclasses of IO exception. Okay, method declares the exceptions it throws. Method will declare the exceptions it throws. If you call such a method, you must handle it. If you call such a method which throws an exception, you must handle it or pass it on. Your method should advertise that it throws the same exception. How to pass it on? By mentioning the method that also throws some exception. Okay, you can define the same clone method. You are advertising that it throws clone not supported exception. In the main method, while calling the clone method, you can enclose that code in the try catch block. You can write handler, or you can tell the main also, the main method also throws clone not support exception. So that's what it means. If you call such a method, any method that throws an exception, you must handle it or you can pass it on. Your method should advertise how to pass it on. Your method should advertise that it throws the same exception. Okay. Customized exception, you can create customized exception also. Define a class. What, how to create that? By defining a class that extends the exception. You can define a class and that class itself can extend a exceptions class. So you can create class age exception extends exception. So that means age exception is a exception now. So you, whenever you try, whenever you can, okay, if you have a list of some individuals, and if you want only the adults with age greater than 20 or 21, let us say, if you enter some individual whose age is less than 20, that limit age, that age, you can throw exception. So now age exception has become an exception by extending the, how do we do that? Class age exception we have defined, and we told that class age exception extends exception. So that means it also has become exception. You can throw that exception. Okay. Cleaning, these are customized exception. I think there are many examples also on the customized exception. We have seen also for OPP, not for OPP, before OPP we have seen, I think. Okay, cleaning up resources. When an exception occurs, rest of the try block is skipped. No, if an exception is occurred, the rest of the statements in the try block won't be executed. May to do some cleanup. We need to do some cleanup, like close the files or deallocate the resources. That things we can do by in the finally block. Add a block labeled finally. That things we can do. Okay, if we finish that, we can see some questions also on except on whatever the topics we have covered. Okay. The other topic here is any doubt still exceptions part.
Yes, ma'am. No more clear, ma'am.
Okay. So packages. The next part is packages. Java has organizational unit called package. Can use import to use package directly. We can use import statement, import java.util.star. That means you are importing util package and all the classes of that package we can use. If we omit modifiers, the default visibility is public within the package. Okay, if you have defined the class without any modifier, that means the class is visible within that package. If the method also, same goes for the method. If you have defined a method uh, without any modifier, that means the method is public within that package. This applies both for methods and variables, also for classes also. If you have not defined, if you have not defined a class or method or field without any modifier like public or private or anything, if you have not mentioned, that means they are visible within the package. Can also restrict the visibility with respect to the inheritance hierarchy. So we can restrict that visibility with respect to the inheritance hierarchy. Protected means visible within the subtree. So all the subclasses. So if something is protected, if a method, that means you can access that method within the package. Within the package you can access, and also from the different package you can access through inheritance. Okay. Normally, a subclass cannot expand the visibility of a function. However, protected can be made to public. So if you say a method as public in the parent class, you cannot make it as private in the subclass. Okay. If it is public in parent, you cannot make it private in child class. Okay. But if it is private in parent class, you can make it as public in child class. Private in parent, you can make public in child. You cannot, you can increase the visibility, you cannot decrease the visibility. Okay. Protected can be made public in subclasses if it is protected in parent. Same goes for the clone method. The clone method is protected in object class, but while overriding the that clone method, we are making the clone method as public, right? So that's how we do. That's about the package. Just visibility. Public is accessible anyway. Private means only within the class. And default, like if you have not mentioned anything, that is visible within the package. If it is protected, That means it is visible within the package and also outside the package through inheritance. Next topic is assertions. Assertions checks are supposed to be fatal to flag fatal unrecoverable errors. So that means exceptions you cannot handle that like exceptions you will write try catch and you can handle the exceptions, but for the assertions you should not handle the assertions. Assertions errors are fatal, they are unrecoverable errors. Okay, this should not be caught. Abort and print diagnostic information. This should not be caught as assertions errors are not should not be caught. And what happens? We should abort and print the diagnostic information. Okay. If assertion fails, the code throws the assertion error. Whatever assertion we made, if that fails, then the code throws the assertion error. If you say public static double my fun of double x assert x greater than or equal to 0, okay, that means you are telling this function this here it has type parameter double and the variable name is x. So assert x greater than or equal to 0. While calling this method my fun, you should pass a value which is greater than 0, like 1 or something. If you pass something like my fun of some negative number, it will throw assertion error. Okay, assertion error is thrown here while executing this line, but you will get the error will be flagged here also because you are not catching this one. No, you are not catching. That's why it will be shown while calling here also. But the thing is that this assertion error here has occurred because of this line. Okay, while executing this line assert x greater than or equal to 0, while executing this line the assertion error has occurred. Okay, that's why. Okay, if something this is assert 1 and if it is here assert 2, what happens? You will get assertion error while executing this line assert 1. Okay, can provide can provide an additional information to be printed with the diagnostic message. So this simply throws assertion error. No, along with that we can provide some additional information to be printed with the diagnostic message. So assert x greater than or equal to 0 colon x, that means it will just show assertion error and x value also. If you need to flag the error and take corrective action, you should use exception instead of assertion errors. Turned on only during development and testing, not checked at runtime after deployment. So this kind of thing is done. Assertions are used during development and testing purpose. It is not done after, like they it should not be done, it cannot be done after deployment. Okay, assertions are enabled or disabled at runtime. We can enable or disable the assertions at runtime. Does not require recompilation. Use the following flag to run the assertions enabled. So you can use this following notation in order to enable the assertions. So, or instead of saying minus e enable assertions, you can say minus ea. Use abbreviation also. You can use abbreviation as minus ea. Can selectively turn on assertions for a class. You can just selectively turn on assertion for a class. Also, you can turn on assertion for a package. Java minus ea colon package name. Java minus ea colon class name. Similarly, we can disable assertions globally or selectively. We can disable assertion also by saying minus disable assertions or minus da colon that particular class name. Okay, can combine the two also. We can combine the two. Enable for this package and disable for this class we can do. Separate switch to enable assertions for system classes. Separately we can separate switch to enable assertions for system classes.
What is this, ma'am?
Separate switch to enable assertions for system classes. Okay, minus enable system assertions my code minus esa my code. Okay,
Java system
separate
also
switch.
having separate assertions. So yeah, that assertions, if we have to enable, we have to use this enable system assertions
Yes, system assertions.
or ESA.
Yeah, instead of that system assertions, you can say minus esa.
ESA.
Okay, login. This is Should I discuss this? This is not that important. Just I will just run through this. Okay. Logging gives us more flexibility and control over tracking the diagnostic messages than simple print
Madam,
statements.
some previous questions during 2022, it was asked, Madam, logging questions, levels, fine, finer, finest, yeah, config, info, severe, all those
Hmm.
things.
Yeah, but now, yeah, this not that important for this. Now I can say, yeah,
Madam,
if you have time, you can go through that also. But
okay,
that
no
is not.
problem.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
logging gives us logging gives us more flexibility and control over tracking the diagnostic messages than simple print statements. Example is call info method of global logger. You can call info method of the global logger. So in the logger class, there is something called get global that will give the global logger, and you can call the info method. Okay, in order to print the information, logging information. Can define hierarchy of loggers. You can define the hierarchy of loggers also. Seven levels of messages can be there: severe, warning, info, config, fine, finer, finest. By default, first three levels are logged. By default, the first three levels are logged. Can also set to it to the different level. We can set the logger to the different level by saying set level. So set level level dot fine. So the find that all the messages till the fine that will be shown. So turn on all the loggers also you can do, and turn off all the loggers also you can do by saying set level of level dot log all. That will turn on all the levels. That will you will get all the kinds of diagnostic messages. All, if you say set level dot off, that will turn off the all logging. Control logging within the code or through external configuration. You can control the login within the code or through some external configuration file. You can control that. Okay, that's all about this week 5 and week 7. Yeah, any questions on any previous term questions or anything? You have any doubts, you can ask, or anything from the conceptually also, if you have doubt, you can ask.
Madam, this one, Madam, mock
Yeah, yeah, sure.
question 12,
Okay.
also question 11. Two
Yeah,
question
just
11 and 12, Madam.
question, which question?
11 and 12.
Okay. So main test obj equal to new test and obj dot show. So in the test object we have created and calling the show method. In the show method, okay, there is nested try. Okay, there is nested try. For this try, there is no what, no handler. No, for the inside try there is no handler. So this try here will generate exception, arithmetic exception. The try here generate arithmetic exception that is caught here. That is caught here. Catch arithmetic exception. That way, right?
Yeah,
So
madam.
what
10
is
days
the,
0. So, what should be the answer? The program generates the output divide by 0, no?
see, when the exception happens, what it will do? It will will the corresponding lines will be executed.
No, yeah,
No.
first try block, when it goes to try block,
Mm.
system.out.print 10 by 0, it will
Mm.
raise an exception.
Yes.
So we have to
So
catch
what
it.
happens? Is there corresponding handler, catch handler there? No.
Okay, it is not there. Correct.
So not there. So what
No,
happens?
after this try, this what happened, madam? The next line, that catch
We'll
is
go to
there.
the catch. Catch is not there. If the catch is not there, what we'll do? If the catch is not there, what we will do?
You,
We'll
it,
go to
it-
directly to the method which has called that, no?
okay, so it will go to main, and it will what it
Mm.
will do after going to main. Okay, it will not catch, it will not crash. What happens, madam? Ultimately, I'm not able to understand this.
So the program, what happens? The program will terminate
Terminate.
only, right?
No, but the answer given is program generates the output string index out of range 5.
Okay. Let us see. Let us just compile this and just we'll see how the happening process is happening.
Meanwhile, okay, madam, you will go. Meanwhile, this try, second try, inner try is not having catch. That is what you meant.
Inner try does not have oh, inner try, it's
Why, madam? After try
wait.
two braces,
There is
one catch.
no, yeah, extra bracket also here.
So it will, that is available, no?
Just, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we will compile it, madam.
You're seeing, now you can see, yeah. So there is try, and this try, you can see where is it is ending. We have not seen that previously.
It, try is ending, no?
Yeah,
The
try is ending here only. This is because of the indentation that has created problem to us. This try is ending here, and there is handler to that. See,
catch.
because of this improper indentation, that's why this. So you can see this try here and the catch here. So this indentation is incorrect. Seems catch.
No, you know, in Java we don't see indentation. I just see one
Yeah, you
brace is
don't see
open.
indentation, but it's good to follow.
Yeah,
But it's
I
good to
what
follow.
I saw is there is one opening braces, then
Mhm.
sentence, then one closing braces. That is the try block is over for that. Then the catch block is started.
Catch block is for which try. That's what no.
The
So
it,
whether the upper this one, this yeah, you can see try catch here. So yeah, that's why we have not catch. I thought catch is not there, but because of the indentation, this try and this catch are there. Associated catch is there for
yes,
this.
madam.
Yeah. And finally, there is no for outer try. There is no catch. For outer try, there is no catch. It's just finally okay. So try system. This is tried and generates arithmetic exception. So arithmetic exception will be caught and message equal to a dot get message. That message we will get. We are not printing that message. Nothing we are doing. So that thing is finished. No. And the next thing is what we will do. We'll go to this.
No, once there is
Yeah.
a exception, why it will go, madam? Continue. Why it has to continue?
When the exception has occurred, it will skip the rest of the things in the try.
Okay, only in try it will
Hmm.
stop. Then it will go to the catch.
Catch.
Finally,
So
finally it will.
after catch, it has to go to finally, no? Why it will go to
See,
the second try?
see why it is happening, because you can see in the previous whatever you have seen till now, in the try there are some statements, and in the catch there are some catch, there are multiple catches, but here you will come out of this, you will come out, there is outer try, no, you are still in the outer try, that outer try is still continuing, right? So this is similar to like kind of for in a for. If you have finished inside for, you will go to the outside for. No, the same way here you are in this try already, this is caught here, and after catching, if there are some more lines, that lines also you will execute. I have already told before in the, not in now in the revision session I have told, not in the revision session, while doing the classes, normal classes, I have mentioned, like if you have
No,
some statements here, try and catch. After catch, if you have any other statements here, that statements will be continued. Okay, you can write simple code also to understand
no,
here.
professor has given, no, madam, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
He has told.
that thing only I'm telling. Just this slides, I will get the slides. Yeah, just you can write the simple code also here, that is caught, no, and after catch, if there are other state, that is the purpose, no, if the exception is caught, that is the purpose of try catch blocks, exception handling. If an exception is caught, instead of terminating the program, you can execute. If the exception is caught, instead of terminating the program, the further lines will be executed. That's what the purpose. Instead of program stopping here, the other lines will be continued if the exception is caught. If you have other lines, that lines will be continued. If it is not caught, if it is not caught, then you will come out of that block. Here, as the exception is caught, you will still be continuing. Okay, just should I show some example? Just I will open one more tab.
No, my basic understanding of exception itself has gone for a 6 now. What I was thinking is, once the catch is happening, after that, the program should stop after
No,
going to
the
finally.
program. See, I will write here. Here you have main method. Okay, some try catch I will do here. Try. I'm doing some divide by 0. Int c equal to 10 by 0 I will do. Okay, 10 by 0. And catch, I will catch arithmetic exception. Do nothing here. Catch arithmetic exception. Exception e. Anything, any variable. And here if I write this line, system.out.println hello world. So what happens here? Hello world will be printed or not? It will be printed because we have got the exception. The other lines will be executed. So hello would be printed. If you say system.out.println some integer addition also, if you do here some 10 plus 20 or some other lines are there, that code will be, that is the purpose of exception handling. Instead of terminating your program, the program still continues. Just
Okay.
okay.
And
That is the
when
purpose. The
you use
whole
our
purpose of exception handling is, instead of terminating your program, the exception can be caught and the rest of your code can be executed.
only
Just
when
try
user
catch.
defined exception is there, that time what happens, madam? Similarly, once you catch,
If the exception is not caught, if there is like instead of arithmetic exception, you have told none pointer exception, then that exception is not caught, and the code, you will get the exception. Arithmetic exception will be flagged. Your code won't execute. Your code, the 10 plus 20 output your. So exception in thread, arithmetic exception divided by 0 exception you will get. Okay, that is the whole purpose of exception. If an exception is occurred and if the exception is caught, then the rest of code, your code can be executed. That's what the purpose. If you do exception handling and if your code is stopping, no use, no. If you do exception handling, the exceptions are handled and rest of your code can be executed as it is. It's what, okay. So here, as this arithmetic exception is caught in this catch block, the rest of the try, that statements, the rest of the statements will be executed. Okay, if this exception is occurred in the try, if there are other statements here like system.out.println hello world beneath this statement, then that statement won't be executed. Catch block will be executed. Okay, and the statements outside the catch block will be executed. I will take the slide for you also. Just give me a minute. Just stop. I will take the slides. Whatever sir has showed. Okay, I got it. Okay, when exception, seeing now my screen.
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am. Visual.
So when exception occurs, rest of the try block is skipped, right? When exception is occurred, rest of the try block is skipped. May need to do some cleanup, close the files, add additional block. Okay, different scenarios. No error. If there is no error here anyway, so then 1 2 will, okay, wait. There is no error, 1 2 lines and 5 6 lines that will be executed. 6 is like out of try, catch, everything. Like 6 is something which is not there in try catch blocks at all. So 1 2 and 5 6 no catch lines will be executed because no error. If some IO exception has occurred in try, then what happens? The code that one first line will be executed, second line will be skipped because the code that might throw IO exception is here. Second line won't be executed. And as there is corresponding handler, IO exception handler, 3 4 lines will be executed, 5 also will be executed, and 6 also will be executed. You can see when an exception is there, no exception in catch, no exception in catch. So 1 3 4 5 6 are executed, so 6 is outside, that line is also getting executed. Okay, IO exception in try and chained exception in catch and some more exception in catch. So 1 and 3, some error is happening in the catch. If some error is happening in the catch, then the following statements in the catch will be skipped. Just 5 will be executed, 6 won't be executed because you are not handling that exception. If you are handling that exception which has occurred in the catch also, then finally and 6 also will be executed. So 6 is outside. Understood now the flow? If some error is there in try, the rest of the try will be skipped, and it will go to the catch, the corresponding catch holder, catch block. If the catch block is doing fine, then no problem. Finally will be executed, and the rest of the code 6 line also will be executed. If the catch is showing an error, then catch block will be skipped. Then the rest of the catch block will be skipped. Go to finally and just terminate the program. Sixth line won't be executed. That's what it showed here also. Okay.
Okay, okay, madam. The key takeaway is the try block will not go further. Other blocks will work.
Try block, if some exception is occurred, no further execution. In
Yeah.
the catch, if some exception is occurred, if that exception is not caught, then the further catch also won't be executed and the further statements also won't be executed. If in try there is some exception and the exception is caught, then the rest of the things will be executed finally, and the outer statements of the try also will be executed. Okay.
Yes, yes, madam. Now I could get hold of it.
Okay. Okay, now
So,
what
so
is
this exception is occurring at that uh, scanner location, right? Like when we are giving the input, that time itself.
where where in
Uh,
where which thing you are
no,
asking?
no, no, no. In the same question, if you go to code,
Hmm.
uh, so
In show
scanner is
method, not scan. We are
scan.
talking about this question 11. No
Okay, okay,
scanner.
okay. Scanner is not there. Okay.
Hmm. So question 11 here try system.out.println. Here exception has occurred. This exception is caught. So the rest of the things will be executed. So try system.iatm.character of 5. What is character at fifth place? What is the character at the fifth place? Is there anything here? No.
Of bound.
Right? It is out of bounds. Exception has occurred. Message equal to e dot get message. We are storing that message in the message variable at line 2. So finally block will be executed. Finally system.out.println of message. What is the message? String array out of bounds exception only. That message only. So you will get that
Why,
message
madam? Two
printed.
messages are there, no? Madam, there are
But
two
you
messages, no?
see, if you say in text, initially x equal to 10 you do, and later you modify x equal to 12, what happens? X value will be updated to 12. Same, the variable is message, same variable you have used, so that will be updated to the current message, that is string index out of bounds. That message, it will be updated because you're
Oh.
doing updation of your variable, that's all.
And then
and then you will get that the program generates that thing string index out of one, that is output. You can see that is output, that is not exception, because that exception is also caught, and you are just printing that message, that is
because it
output, that
is
is not. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, it is system dot out. It's a
Now,
printing
line
one.
1 and line 2, the error they are giving that got handled. Is this runtime error or compile time error?
Line 1, line 2, which one?
Like, yes.
These are runtime errors, okay? Because string index out of bounds, that will happen while running only. While running string, what the compiler will check? You are trying to access a character of a string. That is possible. The compiler will check, okay, it is possible. But while running only, you will come to know which index you are trying to access. So it is runtime error. So you can divide two numbers, like a by b, any two numbers you can divide, but denominator zero, that kind of
Right.
execution will happen at runtime. So
Runtime
compiler,
error.
these are unchecked exception and time exceptions.
So anyway, second option will always be wrong, right?
Compilation errors at line 1 and line 2. Anyways,
Means it doesn't do compile,
Catching.
right? Compile.
yeah, you can get compile errors at line 1 and line 2 also. If you miss semicolon at line 1,
Okay,
then it
okay.
will give compiler error.
No, no.
That is not about
In
that
this case,
one.
yes. I'm,
Yeah.
Next one, ma'am, 12.
So 12, you have scanner. Try you are doing next in C equal to A by B. If you have entered B value as 0, then it will regenerate arithmetic exception, and the exception is caught, and we are printing the system to B value should not be 0. Okay.
Let it
And
choose the correct option such that the output is nothing is there. It's empty.
okay, if the input is given as 10 and 0 0.0, okay, 0 0.0 is nothing but it is not int also. It is not int also. It is like input mismatch exception. In the scanner, if you give some value, like if it is taking int and if you give some double, or if it is taking some string, if it uses some other value, then it will give input mismatch exception also. So that also will be, that exception will be given, right? Input mismatch, that will be thrown first, and that exception also you will be caught, and you will get the please give integer value as input, that you will get, because the input you are giving as this one, double instead of float. Later the kind of checking, the division will happen, but before the division, here itself int be equal to scanner next int of, here itself it is generating exception. So what happens, the int c equal to c a by b, that will not be executed. You will get exception here in the line, second line itself, and it will caught here, catch input mismatch exception, that is caught, and it will generate it will give output as this, please give integer value as input, that output will be given. Okay, the next arithmetic exception, you won't get that at all. So what is the answer? This program unit, please give an integer value as input. Okay. So your exception has occurred in the line, second line itself. So that's why, and there is corresponding handler also. That line will be executed. There are no other statements here. The rest of the try block will be skipped, no? So that division won't happen. Okay.
Hmm. What is this one? Choose the correct option such that the output is such that
If
the
the input is given as, choose the correct options such that the output should not be there. Choose the correct option about, yeah, that should not be there
such
here.
that should not be there. It was like
Yeah.
and third option will be true only when catch, maybe input match exception is not when there is only exception E maybe.
If there is no input mismatch exception,
Uh,
then B second first option would be correct. If you give just a zero instead of 0 0.0, then
uh,
into B there won't be any input mismatch
yes,
exception, and C equal to A
also
by
we
B.
then
Yeah.
if like we give 0.0 maybe, then it doesn't take input mismatch exception. It will now not run right properly. Abnormally, like
Yeah, it will terminate. The program will terminate, and the program will generate exception at the time, input
runtime exception.
mismatch exception. Yeah. Okay, any other things?
one more one. I'll just see, madam. This question number 3.
Okay. So this is clone only, no? So you have E2 array equal to E1 dot clone. So this is an array. This is an array. E2 clone employee array. So first array should be cloned, and then you're just calling the array clone method, right? You're calling the array clone. So what happens? What will happen if you say I will just draw this? Okay,
Here, because return employee super dot clone is there.
just wait. That is not required here. Okay, just okay. I will open revision slides for you just here. You have some employee, some whatever employee array E1, and you are telling employee array E2 equal to E1 dot clone. What will happen now? So for E1, it is an employee array, some memory will be allocated. Okay, for E1. And the name is given as E1 because you have done instantiation also equal to new something. You have done no instantiation. That's why it will create array. So if you say E2 employee E2 equal to E1 dot clone, that means new array will be created for E2 also, employee array. And what will happen? Just just the values here, just the values of this one and
Array.
this one will be cloned. Okay, this one and this one will be cloned. That means this one here, this one and this one are referring to the same memory location. The employee here is referring to the same employee. I will draw it neatly. Just take two elements only because we have only two elements in an array. You have E1 array and you have E2. E2 is newly created because of the clone. E1 dot clone you have told. That's why for E2 also new memory will be allocated, and whatever the values bit by bit copying it will does. So whatever the value here, it is itself is a object that is pointing referring to somewhere, some location. That address will be copied to here. That same address, like it is like 004. That same address will be copied here. If you say 008, the same address will be copied here. Okay, it will be copied here. So if you change something here, if you change something here 004, like whatever employee you are storing here, that employee if you change, that will be stored in E2, changed in E2 also. Because in order to avoid this, you have to clone employee, each and every employee object. So you have to run a for loop for int I equal to 0, I less than even dot length. Then you have to say employee of I, E2 of I equal to E1 of I dot clone, you have to say. That's how you do. That means you are cloning employee. You are cloning the inside object. But what you have done now is like whenever you say clone, the new object will be created. New object for that cloned object will be created. So E1 clone new object here, E2, the new array will be created. But what it is doing, whatever the values that it is storing here, it is referring to some employee object that is present here. The same value will be copied here also. Whatever value it is present here, the same value will be copied here. So the value here is nothing but some employee object. The value here is some employee object which is referring to here. So now both of them, both employee this one and both employee are pointing to the same object. So this is not deep cloning, this is shallow cloning only. That's why the output is same.
I got my mistake, madam. It is a employee. It's an array actually.
Yeah, it's array. If it is
Storing.
just employee, then no problem, it won't be a
Okay,
problem.
yeah, I got my mistake. Thanks,
Mhm.
madam.
Yeah, everyone understood now this question. So here what we are doing, we are changing the employee name to Rani for E2. So employee name Hari also will be changed to Rani. So both cases it will be Rani. And age, what about the age? E1 dot clone.
Both
It
will
is
be same
23.
only.
Not for Rani. It is not for Hari. It is like first element. No, that is this one. The
Yeah.
Gita. Okay.
No, both the E1 and E2, I mean, E1 of 1 and E2 of 1. So it will be 23. Gita will change to Rani and 23 will stand as it is.
Yes.
So Rani 23, Rani 23 will be there. This employee clone, throws clone, not supported exception, return, employee super dot clone means only the, okay, it is only soft copy we are doing. Okay. After this,
See, this we are not cloned employee separately. We are just cloned array here. Even is array, even dot clone we are calling, that means array dot even is an array. Just the clone. Even is array, right? Even is a array of employee. The diagram here I shown. Even is some array employee. It is an array of employee. So even is this one, and E2
after
is
you drew,
also.
after you drew this diagram, we could understand better, madam. Now I got how it has to be done. I mean, at least for me, if others, okay.
Yeah, because when you say clone, the particular copy, new memory will be created for that cloned object. Even dot clone, even is array, for that array we are cloning. No, we are cloning array, so new
Yeah, yeah.
array, new, yeah. So
Yeah.
For
new
array only it is cloning, not
Yeah.
inside elements.
employee we are
Not
calling. Yeah,
the object,
Not the
yeah,
object
yes.
inside the array.
individual employees.
Uh,
Nice, man. Nice twisting question, this one, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
So in the
Doubts?
same question, if I have to do deep cloning,
Hmm.
then what should be changed
So
here?
you should iterate. You should use a for loop, and you should clone each and every element of employee. So for I equal to, for int I equal to 0, I less than e1 dot length I plus plus, you are running a for loop, and what you will do, e2 of I, e2 of I equal to e1 of I dot clone of, that means you are cloning the each and every element of that array. That means employee is cloned. Now what you will do here is like, this one, you have to clone this one also. Here you got some value, no, this one, for this is nothing but object. This, for this object there is some memory. This one also has to be cloned. This inner object also has to be cloned. So how to clone that? In order to clone that, you have to clone each and every element of this employee array. So how to do that? How to do, for int I equal to 0, I less than that, we are running from that length, e1 dot length I plus plus, that for loop you are doing. And what you will say,
Employee
e2 of
typecast
I, yeah, it should be e2 of I equal to e1 of I dot clone. Okay.
also typecast system. Right.
Typecasting,
Okay, okay.
already it is there. Already you have, for this
Okay, okay.
typecasting you have to see employee clone method. Employee clone method is returning an employee object only, no need to typecast. If it is returning object employee type clone method, then you have to do typecasting. What are the objects in an employee array? It is employee object. You are
Hmm.
cloning each and every employee object of
Okay, okay.
employee array, so the
Okay.
return type is employee, so no need to typecast it. And this
Yes.
statement also should be there. For employee array it equal to even dot clone, following that statement, this one, you are cloning each and every object of this employee array.
Okay, then like that is in test we are doing. If I have to do it in the code itself, uh, like clone throws, clone not supported exception. If I have to do there itself,
Hmm.
what should be changed there?
There we are doing
You
actually.
cannot do there because employee is a class. No, class, it is not an array. Employee is a class. You cannot do there. Here you cannot do. You should do here only if it
Employee
is an array.
employee clone.
This
So there is,
clone method is to clone an employee object. In order to create a new employee object with
but
same initial values, you have to use this method. But this is an array. You cannot pass an array. You cannot do that. You can call clone method to an employee object, right? You cannot call clone method on employee array, right? That's why. You have to do here only. You cannot do there that array clone
But
directly.
clone overriding we have to do in that employee class, na?
Yes, clone
Public
overriding we have to do.
It
It's already given in our code.
it
Clone
is already
overriding.
done.
Okay, okay.
Return employee super dot clone.
Okay. Got it.
So here I can create a new employee instance like in this code where this clone method is written.
Hmm.
Here itself, if I create a new employee, s-
And what you will initialize with the values?
uh,
Only with all values you will
this
initialize
this,
it.
this dot name
Name,
and
this
this.
dot name, this dot age you will do. But that also will clone only employee object. That also you will do. But that is not called cloning. That is not, we are not creating, we are creating new instance and just you are doing that explicitly. You are doing that explicitly. That will happen implicitly if you do super dot clone.
Okay.
That if you say clone, the new object will be created and it does bitwise copy. The same thing will happen. Even if you, yeah.
Means I can create a return new employee uh,
Yeah, you
and
can say return new employee of this
then
dot
the name
name,
and
this
this dot
dot comma this
age.
dot age. That also you can do.
Yeah. So means it will create a new instance of employee so that
It
it
will create
can.
new instance of employee and with the same values of name and age as the current object. That's what the clone also does. Clone also implicitly does the new, create new object, and in that new object the values will be same as the old object. So the same thing you are doing, new employee of this dot name, this dot age, you are doing the same thing.
But if I'm writing new word there, then like it will create a separate object. Like
Yes, the
right.
same thing. Yeah, the super dot clone also, clone method also creates new memory. That's what I have shown in the diagram also. New for E1 and E2, new
Okay.
memory will be created.
Okay.
Clone E1 dot clone, I'm telling you, memory will be created
Hmm.
for E2 also, new memory. And the values, but the values of E1 and E2 will be same.
Same. Okay.
Yeah.
If these doubts are over, can I ask one general doubt, madam, regarding these marks?
Yes.
Are we going to have any special bonus marks for this course, Java? Like 40% above in practice assignments, you do something like that?
Yeah, that bonus, yes, per the grading document, that also, that will be there. And in the OPP2, if you attempt the challenging question, 3 mark not yeah, 3 mark bonus also will be there.
To be very clear, madam, actually in our grading document there is no mention of all these things. Can you come again once again? What are the extra marks we are getting?
So 2 mark bonus will be there for that quizzes attention, that thing only, mock quizzes, that thing.
Including OPP one mock also.
Yeah, but in the grading document it is mentioned only about quizzes only, not what OPP is, right? So you will
Quizzes.
get 2 marks bonus for quizzes, and like 1 mark for quiz one, 1 mark for quiz two, and 3 mark bonus for challenging questions of OPP2. If you attempt the challenging questions of OPP2 correctly, if you do them correctly, then 1.5 bonus. If one question is correct, you will get 1.5 marks. If the two questions are correct, you will get 3 marks as bonus.
Okay, OPP two I understood, madam. Regarding quiz, that is what is that 1 mark?
Yeah, mock for quiz 1 will be 1 mark bonus. Mock for quiz 2 will be 1 mark, 2 mark bonus.
Mark
Like 2 marks bonus for quiz marks of quizzes.
mark more than 40 you have to get.
Mm.
Anyhow, it is already there. Answers are there, so we have to just tick it.
Acha, its answers are already there to you.
Yeah, you are also there. For us also there, madam. Whatever
For
is
quiz
there.
1 also it happened.
Yeah, every time it will happen.
Yes, every time happen.
For every course or for
Every
Java
Yes.
only.
No, for
every
Huh?
every course,
for
every.
every course,
Acha.
even practice assignments also it says in other courses practice assignments you have to get more than 40. It is making you to at least see what is there in that. Some
Mm,
people may not see also, so it makes you to see it at least before going to the quiz. And when you check answer, all the answers are there. Then you can select
acha,
whichever is
okay,
correct. So obviously
okay.
that 1 mark is given as free for people who
Mm-hmm.
see it.
Okay.
But this 3 marks for challenging question is only you earn it.
You have to earn it.
Okay.
Okay, any other doubts you have?
Right,
Do
ma'am.
we need to pass the challenging question or is it fine if we just attempt it?
Yeah, it's challenging questions are not required. If for bonus only you have to attempt challenging question. If you want bonus, you can attempt challenging
Now,
question.
his question is
If you
whether if
don't
I
want,
just attend it, okay, or should I get the
you
Uh,
have to correct that.
private
You have
and
to,
public
yeah, you
if
have to
I
pass the test
pass the
cases.
test cases?
Yes,
no
sorry,
pass
not
two out of
assumption,
three,
not
then
only attempt
if I
thing.
pass
You
two
have to
out of three
correct.
questions, then
You have to what? Sorry, Harsh.
if I pass two out of three test cases, is it fine?
All the test cases should be passed as other questions.
No, otherwise in other courses here also 40%. If you get more than 40% in the mock test, quiz one for mock, then you will get that full bonus, madam. That is what is asking whether 40% cases passes will
No,
be.
no, not that how. So other OPP questions, if all the test cases are passed, then only you will get that bonus.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Even
when will be OPB will happen, ma'am? 8th of
Even though 8th and some other day,
15th.
15th.
Yes.
Yeah,
But when we get the date, ma'am, because I have also system command. So
yeah. I'm not sure of that. This is like operational team. They have to what work on
I think
this
we
and
can stop the recording now, madam.
yeah, just yeah.
Yes, madam. Madam, last time itself we are asking, no, like that.